Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Core Studio. Welcome to the show. So, my bad. I probably jinxed things a little bit this morning because in my episode this morning on Mark Rosewater's teasers for Lord of the Rings, I said, hey, spoiler season's next week, so get ready for that. Unless, a leak happens, and a leak happened. So here we are. So on this episode, let's talk about Sauron, Lord of the Rings. Yeah, this is a crazy good card, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Here we go. I should mention that I'll try to remember to put a link in the description below that has the image for the leak. A couple of cards were actually leaked in this. I'm covering them one at a time real quick, though. There's only so much I can take in at once, okay? And then also, this is obviously a custom version of the card that I created. Thank you, MTG Outdesign, for existing. You are fantastic. Now, that said, let's go with it. One more thing. It is a leak. It is not confirmed by Wizards. At least I've not seen it confirmed by Wizards, so it might not be legitimate. That being said, it looks incredibly legitimate, so it probably is. Anyways, 9/9 Avatar Horror. That costs 5 blue, black, red. When you cast this spell, Amass Orcs 5. We'll talk about that here in a second. Mill 5 cards for any creature card from your grave to the battlefield. It's got Trample. Whenever a commander an opponent controls dies, the ring tempts you. We'll talk about that here in a second, too. So, first of all, this is a big, beefy Sauron, a 9/9 Trampler for 8 mana. I mean, these days, obviously, that's not, like, over, what you might expect for 8 mana for a legendary, creature. But, hey, it's not nothing. You can hit for a ton. I mean, you're hitting for over basically, a third of someone's commander damage. And of course, if you give double strike, if you pump it a little bit, you could, get to a 2-shot KO, maybe even a 1-shot KO very, very easily. That being said, that's not the focus of this game. I mean, you could focus on Voltron if you really want to, but the focus of this commander might be a bit different than that because, well, let's go back into that Amass Orcs 5. Now, this kind of leads some credence to the actual card because earlier on this morning, again, I went through the teasers and checked that episode out, but one of the teasers was basically like a mechanic that Mark really pushed to actually happen or something like that, and they like changed a creature type with that mechanic, and my initial guess was like party, but that would be weird because you'd have to change like the exact creatures in a party, and I think that might be confusing. This looks or appears to be what that mechanic is and what the change is, because now we have Amass, not just with the zombie army creature tokens, from back in, was it War of the Spark? Now we've got Amass Orcs, apparently. So, apparently now they're just going to be able to do, like, Amass whatever creature type, and then that's the creature type that it's making. The token army that it's making is this time, it's going to be an Orc, apparently. And again, with this, I understand why they did the mechanic in this way. I just don't like it that much because going wide is better than going tall in many circumstances, especially when you're making creature tokens. So with this Amass Orcs 5, you're making a singular Orc army creature token that gets 5 counters on it, I believe. And then, of course, if you were to get this trigger again, and you already have that Orc army in play, you'd be getting those 5 counters on that again. You would not be making a separate one. I believe, correct me in the comments below if I'm wrong on that, but that's probably this mechanic would work, like the old zombie army mechanic from War of the Spark. So we also have, the ability to, instead of just making, just a creature token, you are also milling 5 and bringing back a creature. You're reanimating a creature. Any creature from your graveyard does not have to be one that was just milled. So, of course, there are ways to set your graveyard to ensure that you can get a massive one, or, you might just get lucky and hit something big off the top, too. But, of course, we're going to be building around this commander, and we're going to be building in a way that we set ourselves up for success. And then, of course, that little part at the end, whenever a commander and opponent controls dies that ring tempts you, that's going to happen quite a bit throughout the game. Again, you've got 3 opponents with commanders, and if their commanders die, which you can obviously force that to happen, you're going to start getting the ring to tempt, and that can be quite good. And now, just as a reminder, I believe this has already been revealed. It's on Scryfall at least, so I would assume this is an actual legitimate spoiler, and that mechanic is, there's been a lot of things going on. Yeah, I believe that this is real. So we've got the ring, just as a reminder, it is, we'll talk about both sides of the card just so we can go through the entire mechanic basically, but the ring, you're going to be going through these one at a time, essentially adding it to a creature. First up, your Ring Bearer is legendary, can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. Now you can, make any creature your Ring Bearer. If you make Sauron your Ring Bearer, there's probably not gonna be many creatures that have greater power than that. Still, that'd be nice if your opponent did have a bigger creature, then they couldn't block it. Whenever your Ring Bearer attacks or a card, discard a card, so nice looting effect there. Whenever your Ring Bearer becomes blocked by a creature that creature's controller sacrifices in the combat, I mean, again, if you're putting on Sauron, your opponent's creature's already going to get taken out by Sauron, most likely, with it being a massive 9/9. And then whenever your Ring Bearer deals combat to a player, each opponent loses 3 life. That's nice, obviously, with Sauron, because Sauron, well, hey, can get through on your opponents quite easily with that trample. That being said, if you give this like a low evasive creature, you can get some early value out of this, I guess, after you cast your commander and get some commanders to die. Regardless, let's just go through quickly the actual rules on the back of this. The ring tempts you. As the ring tempts you, you get an emblem named the ring if you don't have one. And then, oh goodness, how did I lose my spot right there? There we go. If you don't have one, then your emblem gains its next ability and you choose a creature you control or remain your ring bearer. The ring can tempt you even if you don't control a creature. The ring gains its abilities in order from top to bottom. Once it gains an ability, it has the ability for the rest of the game. Each time the ring tempts you, you must choose a creature if you control one. Each player can only have one emblem named the ring and only one ring bearer at a time. So there's all the specifics for that. Again, you can choose Sauron as your ring bearer. You probably won't do that though because, well, it might not be all that efficient for, the abilities that it's gaining. Some of them really don't help all that much with Sauron. Would help with your other ones though, potentially. Again, a low evasive creature could be quite good with this, or just not even evasive. You kind of give evasion with that first one. If it's just a 0 power creature, if it's an ornithopter, great. I guess probably 1 power would be even better, but yeah. There are a lot of cool things that you can do with this commander. I think the thing that I would most focus on, though, is getting the most out of that cast trigger. Again, it is a cast trigger, so I'm glad that they didn't do, like, ETB, because that would be pretty broken and gross, and you can just be like, yeah, clone spell, clone spell, clone spell, and then you're like, oh, so many. Yeah, I'm glad they have that restriction. So you can basically, get this back out a couple of times. I mean, there's plenty of ways that you can do that. There's ways that it doesn't say cast from your hand. So if you are able to like release the wind, you can do that kind of thing. You can do some other weird things where you're casting from different ways. That being said, yeah, getting creatures in your graveyard, milling yourself with this, reanimating massive creatures. That's probably the direction I might go with something like this. So on this episode, like the other quick takes, I'm going to be taking you through the budget buys, the cards that are less than $1 within my budget that I'd be considering for this commander, and the pricier picks, cards outside of my budget, cards above $1 to be considered as well if you have, the budget for them. There's going to be a link to all these cards in the description below. So consider picking up some of those if you believe this is a legitimate spoiler. If you don't, maybe don't pick anything up yet, because again, it is a leak. It has not been confirmed by Wizards yet, so maybe wait until it's actually confirmed. Now, with all that said, let's jump into those budget buys. That's what we start off with. I'm a bit thrown off again. I did not expect to see leaks today. Regardless, let's start things off with Faithless Looting. Looting effects like this can be incredible for a card like this, for a commander like this. 1 mana. Draw 2, discard 2, flash it back. So essentially, hey, dig down in your deck, select cards for your hand. Great card selection with this already, again, twice with that flashback. But yeah, with this commander again, because this commander does not require, mill 5, then choose a card from among them. No, it's just mill 5, reanimate a creature out of your graveyard. So again, you can just ditch giant creatures in your hand that you don't want to cast, and then say, well, I'll cast my commander. My commander can mill. If I don't have anything better than what I just discarded, I can get that giant creature that I just discarded back out into play. And again, you can do that again with this. Next up, speaking of again, Reek Lore Mage, you can do this again and again and again. Tap, search live for a card, put in your graveyard, then shuffle. If you chose an insert sorcery, it gets a counter. You're not going to be doing that. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be like, yeah, my best creature, graveyard, cast my commander, cool. So you can really set yourself up for some absolutely massive plays with this. Again, this is a repeatable tutor effect for you. And of course, there are ways to get your commanders triggered more than once. Moving on, Thrixty Sunstorm. An effect like this can be very impactful with this kind of a commander that is pretty expensive. 4, 5 flash flying spells with converted back house 5 or greater, cost 1 to cast, can't be countered. So basically, your big spells, including your commander, cost less, and that can make a massive impact throughout the game, especially if you're going to be casting your commander multiple times. So when you are doing that, well, hey, yeah, now your opponents can't counter it. So you still get, your commander in play, you get your effect, and your opponents can't do anything about that. So have fun. Next up, let's go on to make an example. Speaking of fun, again, the ring tempting you is a good thing. There are no downsides to it, even though Wizards was like, yeah, it's kind of weird that the ring tempting you does no downsides to it. There's only good sides to it, even though, like, in the movie, there's a lot of downsides to it. but people apparently don't want to play with it when they tested it when there was downsides. Regardless, Make an Example is a great card because of the way that the ring works. Each opponent separates the creatures they control in 2 piles. For each opponent, you choose one of their piles. Each opponent sacrifices the creature in the chosen pile creatures. So if your opponents are like, okay, well, I want to protect my commander, so 1 here and then 4 here, and you're like, well, I really want the ring to tempt, so let's just get rid of the commander, the commander, the commander, the commander. This can easily get rid of all 3 of your opponent's commanders at the same time. I guess I should say even more commanders potentially if your opponent has, you know, partner commanders or whatnot. But yeah, this can help you get rid of a lot of things, including, if you really want to, the commanders. Moving on, Sabo Tavak. A 7/4, I can't remember what this is. It's a legendary creature. I can't remember exactly what the type is. Probably Phyrexian something. I don't know. First strike, protection from legends. Pay black, tap, destroy target legend. It can't be regenerated. It's been Oracle texted. Look up on Scryfall. Anyways, this one can destroy legendary permanents. Okay, cool. So just start taking out legendary creatures for just 2 mana with this. Again, this is a decently expensive card to get into play. But again, hey, cheat and play with your commander. Then just a repeatable way to keep taking out your opponent's legendary creatures, including their commanders, to have that ring tempt further and further and further. Of course, there's other big, nasty things that you can get out. Like, you know, Pestilence Demon. Gross. 7/6 demon with flying that has pay a black, deals 1 to each creature and each player. Again, your commander has a ton of toughness. It can take a lot of pain. And so can this. 7 toughness or 6 toughness is a decent amount as well. Basically, this can be a great way to repeatedly wipe the board of all tiny things, or 5 or less toughness, I should say, including your opponent's commanders if they are, you know, of that toughness. So a great repeatable way to take things out, to punish your opponents, and yeah, just punish everything. And you can, again, just cheat this into play. Or, hey, again, you're going to be ramping quite a bit with a commander like this because it's so expensive. Hey, so yeah, in Garrick's Wake, what's 1 more mana from your commander? Sorcery for 9 mana, destroy all creatures you don't control, all planeswalkers you don't control. Again, this is just a good way to say, you know what? Everything is gone, except for my stuff. Everything is gone. And, oh, you had your commanders in play. I'm so sorry. The ring is tempting me. I get all the good things. My creatures are in play, and you're going to be in big trouble. So there you go. Next up, Blood Clock. Again, like I said, we can find ways to really take advantage of our commander's cast trigger by recasting it. So Blood Clock can be a great way to do that. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, the player returns a permanent they control to the owner's hand unless they pay 2 life. We are not going to pay that 2 life. We're going to be like, yep, we'll take Sauron back to our hand. Cool. Recast it. Get all that value again and again and again. Again, if we've got ways to reduce the cost, that can be incredible with something like this. And then we've got Hoverguard Sweepers. We can also have a creature that can upset out as well with this. And again, a pretty big creature. Again, 5/6 flying drone, enters the battlefield to make turn to 2 target creatures on his hands. This is a great one to use and abuse the ETB of because, hey, you're like, all right, yeah, I'll use my commander. Oh, I cast. Okay, comes into play. I got this, all these things. Okay, cool. I can, you know, bounce something. I can bounce, you know, 2 big things back to my hand. Or I can, you know, if I reanimate a different way, I can bounce my commander back to my hand as well. So there you go. Moving on, let's now move on to the pricier picks. And again, these are cards outside of my budget, but they might be within yours. And first up, Entomb is a great one. Its price dropped quite a bit, I think, with the, I think it was Dominaria Master or whatever it was. Anyways, an instant for a single black mana, search life for a card, put in your grave, then shuffle. Yeah, 1 mana for a tutor that's like, yeah, go set yourself up with the exact card that you need in your graveyard for your commander to reanimate. Have fun with that. Next up, Buried Alive. This is some really cool old art. Search your library for the 3 creature cards within your graveyard, shuffle your library afterwards. So basically, hey, go get the 3 creatures in your deck that you really want to get out with your commander. Get 1 out. I mean, you might have other ways to reanimate too. But yeah, be able to get 1 out at a time. Again, if you've got other ways to get your commander back, recast, etc., etc., etc. Release the Wind, you know, that's a, you know, basically recast right away if you really want to. You can really take advantage of something like this and really, really go off. Moving on, we've got Ashnod's Altar. Speaking of going off, hey, yeah, we can do some crazy things with this. Sacrifice creature, add colorless. Again, if we've got, you know, some cost reducers, if we got something like this, we can sacrifice creatures, including, you know, like our orc army or whatnot, and maybe some of the creatures that we reanimate to actually then fuel casting our commander again. This is a great, you know, just free sacrifice outlet, can give us an absurd amount of mana throughout the game. It can help us do some crazy things. Speaking of which, Semblance Handful, you were budget friendly for just like, you were like a minute. I got to use you in like 1 deck in the past like year. It was like 99 cents. Now it's $1.19. Still not that far on my budget, but still. Imprint enters the battlefield, exile a non-land card from your hand. Spells you cast that share a card type, the exile card cost host to cast. So basically, most decks I utilize this in would be artifact decks, but in this case, hey, exile a creature from your hand. Now your creatures cost just to cast, including your commander. That's a massive cost reduction, again, especially if you're working on recasting your commander again and again and again. And yeah, with the pricier picks, you're also able to get access to some pretty brutal, massive creatures like Archon of Cruelty, a 6/6 flying Archon that costs 6 black, enters the battlefield or attacks target opponent, sacrifice a creature or planeswalker, discards that card, loses 2 life, you draw a card in the game 3 life. So brutal. That is absolutely cruel. It lives up to its name. And again, big ETBs like this one you can really take advantage of when you get them back immediately with your commander. And yeah, forcing an opponent to sacrifice a creature, you very well might make them sacrifice their commander, or when they do again, tempting with the ring, plus all that other value. Next up, Tidespout Tyrant. This one's a great one. I love this card. 5/5 flying to Jin. When you cast a spell, return target permanent to its owner's hand. So being able to just casting any spell, doesn't matter if it's Faithless Looting, doesn't matter if it's Entomb, doesn't matter if it's something massive. You cast spells, you bounce things, and that can be your opponent's things, including their lands. And yeah, that is a way to finish out a game to do so. It's not a nice way to do it, but it is a way to do it. And also, bounce your commander back to your hand, recast, get a lot more value. Yeah, there's some ways you can really set yourself up for success. Speaking of which, Jin-Gitaxias Quagga, that's some interesting art. Yeah, this, I just want to mention that Moxville, I believe, pulls the lowest cost for me, and this is apparently the lowest cost Jin-Gitaxias. A 5/4 Phyrexian, Prey to a Flash, that says, beginning of your end step, draw 7 cards, each opponent's maximum hand size reduced by 7. This is basically game over, essentially, if it gets around the table, because you're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and your opponents are going to have no cards. So there you go. You basically just win. If you mill this, with your commander, or already have it in your graveyard, get it, reanimate it. If it sticks around, they're done. They're just basically done. I mean, they can get lucky. They can top deck removal, but yeah, if not, they're done. And speaking of being done, It That Betrays, 11/11 Annihilator 2. Mean. When an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card on the battlefield under control. Yeah, again, there are ways. I mean, this, obviously, Annihilator is going to make them sacrifice when you attack. You also have plenty of other ways to make opponents sacrifice things that could work really well with this commander. Just gain their things now. They're yours. Have fun. Yeah, gross. This one's kind of funny, actually. Sign of Draco. A 4/4 dragon. So cute, little dragon. It's going to cost just gas for each base land type among lands you control. So you can cast this for, 6 mana if you've got all your basics in play. Flying, each creature you control has Vigilance if it's white, Hexproof if it's blue, Life if it's black, First Strike if it's red, Trample if it's green. So, with this can just be a great thing to have in play to protect your things, especially your commander, because your commander is blue, so it gets Hexproof. That's massive. It gets Lifelink as well, which is huge because it's black, and it gets First Strike since it's red, so it's going to be pretty hard to ever stop. You're going to gain a ton of life, and your opponents cannot target it. So, yeah, that's a great card to just cheat out. So yeah, and again, it's just $150 right now outside of my budget, but might be within yours. And again, yeah, make sure you check out all these cards in the link in the description below. Consider picking up some of them, though again, only if you think that this is a legitimate spoiler, because it is a leak. It's a leaked picture. Wizards probably isn't too happy about that, and we'll probably find out next week if this is real. So yeah, maybe if you want to wait until that, you can wait till that. If you don't want to, yeah, go ahead and pick up those cards if you feel more confident. So yeah, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on this one. I think it's a pretty exciting commander, one that, well, I'll say a lot of potential. I think you can do a lot of crazy things with it. Yeah, let me know in the comments below. And of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG Player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.